Here is yet another example of how to solve a system of equations using substitution. Now remember what I said in the last lesson video. The best way to learn how to solve systems is by just seeing lots of examples and doing lots of practice. So watch this example video of me doing it, but follow along on your own piece of paper. And if I'm going too fast, then pause the video and catch yourself up and make sure you're following along with the steps that I'm doing. So here's the problem that we're going to be working with. Here's our system, and we're asked to solve it using substitution. Here are the steps for solving using substitution. These are definitely steps that you should have written down in your notes, but I would hope that with time and with enough practice, you won't need these steps. You won't have to look at them or rely on them. Hopefully you'll be able to see the word substitution and kind of understand what you're supposed to do. So I'm not going to follow the steps one by one, but they are right here as a guide for you to follow along with. So with my system, I can see this second equation is y equals 5x minus 2. That means the variable y and 5x minus 2 are equal to each other. So since y and 5x minus 2 are the exact same thing, that means they're interchangeable. So in this top equation for y, I'm going to interchange this y with 5x minus 2, or in other words, I'm going to substitute 5x minus 2 in for this y, since they're the same thing. So let's rewrite it, that first equation, but this time with 5x minus 2 in place for the y. Now remember, anytime you substitute an expression in, you want to substitute it in parentheses. So instead of y, I'm writing 5x minus 2, and then this is all equal to negative 12. Now that step took care of steps 1 and number 2. Now I have this equation, and I can see that it just has one variable, x, in it. And I know how to solve equations that have just one variable, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to solve this equation for x. The first thing I need to do is get rid of the parentheses. Parentheses mean the distributive property. So the 6 is being multiplied by both of those. So everything else will stay the same, except I'm multiplying 6 times 5x is a positive 30x. And 6 times negative 2 is negative 12. And then I still have equals negative 12. Okay, let's simplify some more here. I can see I have two terms with x's, so those can be combined with each other. Simplify this a little bit. Negative 3x plus 30x. So negative 3 plus 30 is 27x, right? And then we have minus 12 still equals negative 12. Okay, now this is simplified as much as it's going to be. So now I can solve this equation for x. So I need to get x by itself. So that means this negative 12 is in the wrong place. I need to get rid of it by combining it with its zero pair, which is a positive 12. So add 12 on both sides to keep everything balanced and happy. Negative 12 and positive 12, it's a zero pair. They cancel each other out. So I'm left with 27x equals negative 12 plus 12 is 0. So the last step is to divide by 27, but hopefully you can see where this is going. 27 divided by 27 is 1. 0 divided by 27 is 0. So x is equal to 0. Now I know that I only have half of my answer because in my system, notice I have two variables. I have x and I have a y. And so I just know what x equals. I need to figure out what y equals as well in order to have a complete solution. So in order to figure out what y is equal to, I'm going to plug in this 0 back in for x in either one of these equations. And I'm just going to choose whichever one looks easiest, and I'm thinking the bottom one looks the easiest. So I'll rewrite it right here. By the way, we just solved for x, right? Okay, so now we're going to plug in this value for x that we found back into our equation. So remember, substitute it in with parentheses. And we get y equals 5 times 0 is 0, minus 2. Simplify that and we get y equals -2. So now we have a value for x, which is 0, and y, which is -2. Now another way, or the more common way that you would see this answer written, is in a coordinate point. So that would be 0, -2. So remember, the first number represents the x value and the second number represents the y value. So that would be the answer for this system of equations. So that took care of step number 4. Step number 5 says to check your solution. Now I'm going to trust you guys to pause this video or stop it now and go ahead and check your solution. Now remember, you do that by plugging in a 0 for x and a -2 for y in both equations, and make sure that they're true. They work out to be true statements. And then you'll know that your solution is correct. Okay, go ahead and move on to your last example video. You're almost there.